All right, and we're live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back for another Total War stream with the Terminator. And today we have a very special stream. Obviously every stream I try and spotlight a mod or talk about a new update that's just come out, and it's usually by starting a new campaign on it, and we run through some of these changes, some of the new factions, mechanics, whatever it is. And today we're going through a mod that I've covered a few times before. Before I mention the name of the mod, because I'm pretty sure I always mispronounce it, I'm going to introduce the main difference today in this stream, the modder behind the development of this mod. So please, everyone, welcome Gyrosmeister. How's it going, my man?
Hi, I'm fine. You too?
Welcome. Sorry?
Are you fine as well?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Welcome to the stream. Do you want to just tell us all the real pronunciation of the name?
So, in Greek, the correct pronunciation would be Demetrios Poliokertes.
Okay, cool.
It's like the TH sounds that the TH sound in then. That sound is the D, it's a the. It's Demetrios, not Demetrios.
Okay, so it's like Demetrios, and then Poliokertes is totally wrong.
Pronunciation is at the end. Poliokertes.
Poliokertes. Well, let's just assume I'm not really going to be able to get it right every time, but this is essentially your mod, and today we're going to run through some of the updates that you've been working on and released in the last like 6 months ish, and we're going to run it in the background with a campaign as well. So I'm going to be playing, there's a poll up with the Aetolian League versus Athens. Looks like the Aetolians are in the lead, and we're probably going to play this on hard, though I will keep battles on, I don't think I can do that here. I'll keep battles on normal when we load in. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. Oh, all of a sudden Athens is in lead. Hello everyone that's just joined the stream. So Augustin, Alan, Ivanchich, Toshiro, finally a hero with my name. Eran Samet Karatash, how's it going, buddy? Welcome. Danny Alex and Band of Brothers GG. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes as more people join. We have a poll up right now, and you guys can, you know, sway the difference between the two factions that have had the most recent updates to the mod. This is a mod that's developed for Wrath of Sparta, by the way. And yeah, while we're waiting, why don't you tell us a little bit about it, Gyrosmeister?
Well, obviously, as you said, it's a mod for the Wrath of Sparta DLC. And if you've played vanilla Wrath of Sparta, it's kind of underwhelming. They're like all the same unit rosters, apart from Sparta, which has like, I think, there's the Skirite and like some various mercenary units, and not mercenary skirmishers that are basically helots instead of normal archers or javelin men.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's pretty underwhelming overall, to be honest. So, and also being a Greek as well, having this really detailed map of the Aegean, I thought it had a lot of potential, and giving it a setting that was like more fitting into the Rome 2's early Hellenistic era was more appropriate.
Yeah.
And about the setting itself, the 294 BC, you have various things happening around the Aegean. You have, first of all, the namesake Demetrios himself establishing himself as the king of Macedon after murdering the son of Cassandra. You also have Pyrrhus, who was crowned in 297 after murdering Neoptolemus. Classic Diadochi Game of Thrones, everyone was killing each other, basically.
Yeah, so it's a pretty wild time from a war perspective, I guess.
Yeah, so he's in 297 BC, so he's basically just consolidating his rule in Greece and preparing to make his big name that he eventually did. Also, the Spartans are basically nearly destroyed. Demetrios nearly destroyed them, but they got lucky after the Egyptians and Lysimachus attacked in Asia Minor. So they're also trying to regroup. Athens was freed in 294 BC by the tyranny of Lachares, by Demetrios himself, who established Athens as a vassal. Also, the Seas of Rhodes was only finished like 10 years ago. I think it was like a 3 or 4, 3 or 5 BC, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this state has a lot of context behind it. It's also various events that happened recently before it, and also many upcoming events, like the Gallic invasion. Historically, it happened in 279, but in the mod, it happened so it was earlier to allow the Heroes reform to happen.
Okay, right, fair enough. Okay, just to interrupt you for a second. So I think most of the votes are in. The Aetolian League has won, so I'm just going to end the poll here really quickly. And it's weird because the end the poll button and the end stream button are like right next to each other. So it's so difficult not to misclick. But okay, so the polls ended. Aetolian League got it by 55%. Most of you have voted, and we're going to get started on the campaign. So I'm just going to get this started, and we can take a look at the map and some of the start positions, and yeah, talk a bit more about the mod. But yeah, I mean, in my like personal experience, I totally agree. I think Wrath of Sparta, as a DLC, lacks a lot of flavor, a lot of depth. I mean, it's amazing how what's the word I'm looking for? How little variety there is between all the factions when you play Wrath of Sparta from a unit perspective. It's one of the worst I've ever seen, but thankfully, you know, we have mods like yours and yours in particular that does a really good job of expanding some of that and expanding the campaign mechanics and making it all just a bit more interesting and fun. So we're just here on the campaign, and obviously one of my favorite things, by the way, about your mod is your amazing use of these like event messages and messages that, you know, let you know, for example, this one here, like your faction that you've chosen, the various mechanics that you can expect with them. So the administration button or the change government button that you have in the faction tab here, you can make every faction has a bit of a different kind of set of mechanics that you can use with them. So Aetolia in particular here, they have one that because they're a faction that's leaning towards raiding more as a source of income, you have a choice here that we can look at in a second that allows you to raise a raiding force instantly, which is a really cool feature. I'm very impressed by it. So tell us a little bit more about this faction and this mechanic here.
Well, the Aetolians are like a Greek tribe native to Western Greece, and historically they formed the loose confederation, I think around the 4th century BC, as opposition to the Macedonians. And about the faction traits and mechanics, first of all, as you can see, like in red, they struggle to urbanize because historically the Aetolians were more of a rural society. They didn't really build any particularly large urban center aside from Thermon, the capital.
Yeah.
Also, about the raiding, but most of our information about the Aetolian League comes from Polybius, who was a guy from the Achaean League. And to put it lightly, he was really a big fan of the Aetolians himself, so he was definitely anything but objective. He was really biased for ancient Greek standards. So perhaps he had also used this piracy thing and raiding to demonize the Aetolians because that was really frowned upon in ancient Greece. But given how extensively this is mentioned in ancient Greek literature and also like what modern historians say, I think it was pretty obvious that they actually must have done a lot of raiding because their native regions were not particularly rich in resources. So I think there's some truth behind all this slamming that Polybius did for the Aetolians.
Right. Okay, interesting. That makes sense. So, yeah, I'm just having a look at the map here and the regions they own, etc. But if you look at the faction tab here and go into summary, you'll see this button here. So it's organized raid or organized raid. So as the Aetolians, and I love the historical context that you have here and how it's weaved into the various mechanics that you can really get into and interact with. you can organize a raid that raises an army and appears on the capital, and you can use to raid other factions and their regions. But that must come with a penalty, right? I mean,
Of course.
so I guess raising an army like that, and you were saying that raiding is frowned upon. So what kind of penalties do you get by raising an army like that?
If you activate that event, first of all, you're going to lose like some growth and recruitment slots because because as vanilla runs with a population system, there must be a way to simulate the manpower loss that you have used to dedicate to raising this force quickly. And furthermore, if you activate this event, you will also have a diplomatic penalty with all factions for a couple of turns. I think it's 4.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good to know. Interesting. So okay, interesting. So we're this kind of like raiding faction. We're kind of like almost like yeah, we're like a band of raiders essentially. And were they kind of like known, I guess, historically to raid navally as well, or was it just kind of land raids?
As far as I know, mostly was like more likely land raids, but there was also a really famous Aetolian pirate who was also in the service of Demetrios Poliokertes during the Siege
Okay.
of Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
I can find his names so that we can have it.
Interesting. I've got a question here, by the way, in the chat from Toshiro Mifune. Will there be a Greek translation of the mod?
First of all unit names, for example, are already in Greek.
Yep.
I mean, I can easily make it. That's not a big issue. I mean, if you use I think there is a quick translation mode in the Steam Workshop. So if you use that, a lot of stuff will be already translated, and you will just need to translate everything else that I added myself, and that's not made from vanilla or anything.
Okay. Right. All right, so I'm just going to lower the tax rate here, and I think diplomatically this is interesting because obviously we start off as defensive allies with Epirus. Both us and Epirus don't really like the Thessalians, and obviously Demetrius as well.
Nor do you.
Yeah, no, nor do us, exactly. There's the city of Delphi, which is quite close, which could be an interesting like first target to kind of take over, unify a bit of bio. I'm gonna totally butcher this pronunciation. Bio, fuck me. Biotia.
Viotia is in Greek.
Biotia. There we go. That's beautiful pronunciation. Biotia. So we can try and unify this a little bit. I guess this is a good question. While we're talking about what to do in this campaign, what did or what happened to the Aetolians historically in this like kind of time period here?
They didn't really engage that much in the wars of the Diadochi themselves. However, they were one of the major contributors of manpower against the Gallic invasion.
Okay,
And,
right.
and obviously this won them eventually a lot of recognition, and many Greek states that did not really like them and did not consider them true Greeks or anything, because in ancient Greeks it was a really common thing if you wanted to defame someone to call him a barbarian. And the Aetolians were really victims of that. But after the contribution to the defense of Greece against the Gallic invaders, then they won a good amount of recognition.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you open up a minor settlement slot whenever you do it, you will see that they will have a unique chain that, as not a monument chain. That's what I was missing, because after the victory over the Gauls, the Aetolians built some monuments to commemorate their victory, and these buildings will give you some diplomatic bonus with all factions as a result of that recognition that they won following the Gallic invasion.
Oh, very cool. Interesting. Which building is this? Because I'm looking
It's on
at.
the bottom right.
Is it? Yeah, the Stele of
The Steam
Delphi.
University.
Oh, very cool. So if you go into this chain here, it provides public order, diplomacy with all factions, melee infantry, melee defense, and morale. That's
You can right click
very
it and
cool.
see all the details, because there's also
Yeah,
a second building coming after it.
yeah. I've just opened it. I'm looking at it now. Very cool. Very cool little building. So yeah, you've got a really nice set of like unique buildings here as well, which is really impressive. Okay, interesting. So this is tied to the Theris reforms. Nice. Okay, cool. All right, so what I'm gonna do then is be a bit more active than they were in history. So I'm gonna just raise a bit more troops around Naupactos, and maybe go and besiege Delphi. If I can take that, I think we'll have a nice kind of couple of cities just east of us that we could maybe invade the Thessalians with. The only kind of worry I have with this is that we're going to be so close to Demetrios up here, which I'm sure he's got a couple of armies or some forces up his sleeve up there that I should be worried about.
Not spoiling anything.
That's yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, cool. What else do we want to do here? I don't think I can. I don't think there's a lot I can do diplomatically. A lot of these guys are client states of Demetrios.
I am honored to receive this embassy.
Or sorry, I need to do this again. Can you remind me how it's pronounced?
Demetrios Poliokertes.
Demetrios. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
My people will find much
Demetrios.
joy in this. Athena has blessed you with the wisdom to speak well.
Oh, I think maybe we'll keep that like that. And yeah, I guess there's not a lot we can do really diplomatically either. So we'll raise some forces, we'll take Delphi, and then maybe when we've got just slightly more income than 600, I might just raise a raiding force to go up to the Thessalian League here, which could be interesting. Cool. I will. Oh, right. I will do, I think, tax rate maybe. All right, cool. So tell us a little bit more about yeah, I guess your vision for the mod and the last few updates and what you've been working on.
The main thing I had in mind was to try to give every faction some unique mechanics of their own to play with.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that really started properly was like with the update with Pergamon, with Phileteros, and all this treasury minigame that they have. And I was like, okay, this is really cool, and I started doing it for more and more factions. That's why Athens in the last update in November got the elections mechanic.
Yeah.
For example, and now in the next update, I can tease you, like Lysimachos will get some things to do with the Dacians.
Mm-hmm.
Also other stuff don't have like event mechanics, but for example, Epiros, led by Pyros, they have their unique mercenaries that no one else can recruit, and like slower recruitment to begin with. So they have like a different playstyle than, let's say, Demetrios, who doesn't have really manpower issues, but he's completely spread out and needs to decide where to focus first. And and for the Aetolians, what they got was, of course, like those new buildings, and also a new mechanic that I'm not going to spoil that will show up in a few turns.
Sorry, what will show up in a few turns, did you say?
Some unique stuff for the Aetolians, some unique events for them.
Oh, okay, cool. Very cool. Oh, that sucks. I'm just out of range of attacking the city.
Make haste, men. March.
Move slightly back maybe and just recruit another unit. Okay, cool. So you've done a lot of work on, I guess, faction mechanics then, and yeah, tell us a little bit more if there's anything more to say in your last few updates.
And also the last few updates, Sparta got some unique stuff of their own. They got the festivals of Carnia, which were celebrated in honor of Apollon. And historically, the Spartans, every time they celebrated that thing, they stopped any military activity. So in the game, you will get your armies immobilized for as long as the festivals last. So you need to be prepared. So you need to make sure that you're not exposed when this thing comes up.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Also,
interesting.
have been doing a lot of work with emerging factions.
Oh yeah,
to,
definitely.
to increase the flavor, regional flavor of the map. I think
Very
like the
cool.
last update got like, I need to check how many I added. I added 5 new emerging factions in the last update. And 2 of them actually in territory controlled by the Aetolians.
Okay, that's awesome. Nice.
And
So,
one is in Thessaly, if you want to liberate it and show it.
haha, nice. Okay, interesting.
And the other 2 are islands, Andros and Milos.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. So just to take a pause on that. So one of the event messages has come up here for the Aetolian. So the autumn equinox has come again, and it is the time for the Thermica. A large crowd of people gather here in Thermon for the religious festivals are once again set to be joyful. The question of the leadership of the league arises yet again. So this is kind of, I guess, both a political an event and an event that provides some sort of like public bonuses. It's a celebration, etc. So, and you have a choice. So you have a choice. Should we give more political power to the non-Aetolian members of the league, or should things stay as they are? Okay, cool. So you get a variety of bonuses, but they come at the cost of loyalty from other political parties if you go on one if you go one way. And then the other way, you do get the loyalty, but the bonuses are maybe less effective, I guess, because you get public order and wealth and things on the power to non-Aetolians, but staying with the status quo does things like, you know, minus 10% land unit recruitment cost, which is quite big. The morale for all units is quite big as well for 11 turns. Interesting. What I should have done was check what the loyalty looks like already for the non-members.
Yeah, but just if you don't know the Rome 2 mechanics, like for the first 20 turns, you cannot have a civil war. So
Yeah, that's true.
You can abuse this, but
yeah, that's definitely true.
Generally, historically, the non-Aetolians were pretty loyal to the Aetolian League. I mean, even at this point, you don't have only Aetolians in the league. For example, you see that you also control like settlements in Acarnania,
Yeah,
and other non-Aetolian settlements, and also later on, many other non-Aetolian factions also joined them. For example, in the late, I think late 2nd century BC, late 3rd century BC, the Boeotians joined them. And I also think at some point they briefly annexed Thessaly, but I could be mistaken on that. At least a part of Thessaly.
okay, right.
And the Aetolians were actually pretty successful in forming a common national identity also for their non-Aetolians.
Okay, interesting. All right, so yeah, I think we'll just go with the status quo here. Got some troops recruited, some unseasonal conditions. And then, yeah, so we're at war with the Thessalians already. Epirus declared war on them, and I decided to join in. But before that, I think we're going to go and see if we can attack Delphi. So it's being defended by, looks like 18 units. We've got 14, but I think we can take them on. Oh wow, interesting. So the auto resolve is quite heavily favored towards us as well. How quickly is replenishment in your mod? I don't remember.
It's unchanged to vanilla. I didn't really mess with it.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, if the Phocians have a really bad starting army and no military buildings,
Yeah.
because obviously they control the Holy Sanctuary, and obviously the people who couldn't just build barracks in there.
Yeah.
And also before 294 BC, there was a big war in Greece. It was called the Lamian War after the death of Alexander. And what the Phaeacians did, it's a bit funny if you know the context, but what they did, they managed to get control of the sanctuary and all the money into it, and they just used it to buy mercenaries. So they were able to fund a war for like many years with those mercenaries, but eventually they depleted it and then they were forgotten.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, I think this could be a good opportunity to just show some of the units as well and run through, yeah, what the battles look like. So I'm going to try and assault this.
You changed the battle difficulty to normal?
I did. Yeah, I remembered.
Okay, good.
Someone's telling me here, though, that my sound is low, so I might just kind of look at turning some of that up. I'm just gonna check the chat for a second. So, how many cities are there in this mod? I guess it's unchanged from vanilla,
Yeah,
obviously.
the Sparta map has 78 cities in total.
78 cities. Wow, actually, that's a lot more than I expected.
It's just that many of them are actually islands. So
yeah.
you have the Cycladic Islands. You have 4 of them. There are also, I think, 5 non-Aegean islands, and also we have the Dodecanese with 2 settlements in Rhodes and 1 in Carpathos.
Yeah.
And also 3 in Crete. And obviously, if you're starting out in mainland Greece, you're not really going to have to do anything with them because you are geographically isolated from that.
Right. Okay, cool. So,
and if you're not, if you're like enemy of Demetrios early on, it's basically suicide to start naval hopping because he has all the Aegean vassals on his side.
yeah, and they all have their own navies, etc. So it's
Then they can all raise their own.
yeah, exactly. Okay, interesting. So I'm just setting up. What are these guys? Medium melee cav. Cool. We've got the general as well. What could I forget?
Spear infantry at your command. We await your command.
And the light missiles. Nice. So hold on, let me just start the battle and see what they're gonna do. Are they gonna push towards us? Nope, they're not. Okay, cool. So tell us a little bit about the units here, and I don't remember. I'm pretty sure you've custom kind of visually designed these units, right? Am I wrong?
What do you mean exactly?
As in, have you are these units new? Have
the
you?
Aetolian hoplites are a new unit. Also the Aetolian cavalry. The prodromi, I think it's just reskin from vanilla, and then obviously the peltas unit is split into 2 because for alien late peltas for the Theros reform.
Right.
And you will note that the Aetolian hoplites are like in melee are weaker than the standard Greek ones, but they are lighter and carry javelins.
Yeah.
It also has some history behind it, because what we know from Pausanias, one of the ancient Greek writers that I heavily used to design the roster of the Aetolian League, what he says is he doesn't mention them as hoplites directly. He says oplitevotes, which in Greek would mean acting as hoplites, which implies that they will probably also be able to fight as peltas in one way or the other.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
So this is why they also carry long-range javelins.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I love that they're a bit of that hybrid unit, jav and spear unit. Very interesting. And they're really good looking units, by the way. I don't know if you designed them visually yourself. They're really good looking.
Yeah, these are custom made like unit models. I mean, some of the assets were provided by a modder called Baklazan in my Discord, so thanks to him.
Okay. Nice.
Also many other models that simply can be found in vanilla, and then you can slightly modify them yourself to add, for example, the feathers on the Boeotian helmet, if you notice that detail. I think they have like 2 feathers, and that's something that the Aetolians really like, to have like 2 feathers on the Boeotian helmet.
Right. Yeah, I like that. I really like that detail. Definitely. quite like that some of them have like capes and others don't either. Very cool.
Yeah, because like in ancient Greece, like people had to buy their own equipment. So you would have like in one game, you'd have like people of sometimes different social status.
Hmm.
So obviously, not everyone would be able to afford to have like a good helmet or a good line of thorax.
Right.
And obviously, like as a result, basically the soldiers were all visually different from one another because state equipment in ancient Greece wasn't that common. Like the Romans had that more with legions post the modern reforms, but in the Greek world this wasn't that common. I mean, it did exist, but not to the same extent as like as we know it today or from the Renaissance and modern era.
Okay, right. Fair enough. And what can you tell us about the unit roster of the enemy?
The Phocians basically, to put it lightly, they have shit units. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, they weren't really big military power, and as I said before, in the Lamian War, they basically used all the money from the sanctuary of Delphi to fund mercenaries, because
Right.
they didn't really have big manpower and all that stuff to raise good times of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, as a result, the starting army is actually quite bad without any military buildings to actually can get something.
Okay, fair enough. So they're a little bit on the weaker side, I guess.
I mean, they also a faction, and obviously you wouldn't expect them to have like super overpowered units.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And yes, Nick, I am Greek.
Spear infantry, at your
I see in
command.
the chat.
All right, yeah. And Nick, welcome to the stream, buddy. And yes, Gyrosmeister is Greek. Yes. Also, Joe On It is on the stream. I don't know if you've seen or watched Joe On It, but he's another Total War YouTuber. Shout out to him. He's also a channel member for 9 months now, which is pretty insane. Welcome to the stream, buddy. And if you haven't checked out his channel yet, definitely do so. Andrew Fish is asking if you want to give us a rundown, what has changed about the mod, unit scripts, and what should I expect by playing the mod, I guess.
The mod is if you, for example, play many completely overhaul mods like Divided Impera, Radios, and these mods, they basically change physically everything from the game of the base game. I wanted this mod to feel more like a vanilla plus type of mod, so that when you boot up, you know what game you're playing in. But once you get deeper and deeper into the campaign and start discovering the details, that you will realize that it's actually more deep than the base game of vanilla, while still remaining familiar. And what you can expect, basically, that's a good question. The best way is to try it out yourself, but I generally expect the battles to be slower because obviously the Greeks don't have like very high melee attack infantry. It's not like all these barbarian swords and that you know from vanilla. So battles will be battles for vanilla, but they're generally going to be slower than what you will find in the base game. I also try to maintain as high a degree of historical accuracy as possible, but obviously some liberties are taken here and there's some stuff that I need to correct in the future updates. And generally expect like every faction to be significantly different from one another. This was actually one of my main goals for this mod. When you boot up, for example, the Aetolians, to have a completely different feeling as playing as compared to Athens, and also especially the Diadochi, like Demetrios and Lysimachos, was basically both inheritors of the Macedonian Empire, so that they are also different between them, even if they're basically two split factions of the same parent faction. And about scripts, you also have the Gallic invasion, which doesn't occur in 279 but around 289. And I think that's actually the only big script that you should actually consider, because most of the other stuff are not made by script. For example, the Aetolian events that Temi said was basically database and not script. It wasn't scripted, it's database.
One of our units
Yeah.
used all its ammunition.
Yeah. It's a solid amount of info right there. Yeah, it all makes sense, I think. Oh, I don't know why this unit has decided to go that way.
We await your command. Orders. Form phalanx now. Spearmen ready for orders. Double time. Your orders. Archers. Spears ready. By your command. Yours to command.
So what's been like maybe one of your more like kind of challenging kind of pieces of work when creating the mod here?
I need to think about it.
Yeah, I mean it's not like Rome 2 is relatively moddable, but there are definitely aspects of it, especially from like your work that you've done on a mechanical point of view. There must have been things that kind of challenged you more than others, I guess.
I think one of the hardest things that I had to pull off for the creation of the mod was the Athenian election mechanic, because I wanted it to have 5 different outcomes depending on your choices.
The men
Yeah.
are wavering.
And in hindsight, I could have done it much more simpler, because I had forgotten an event handler that exists for these types of events. I had forgotten that it existed, so I did. I had to do a workaround around that, but it's robust and it works.
Okay, wow,
I
interesting.
think it was probably one of the hardest things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
At your service. Spearmen ready for orders.
Also, Pergamon itself was a really hard faction to pull off with all these dilemmas and all these events, so that they have a
Your orders.
bit of a right, so they don't have all these events spawning up at the same order every time for every playthrough,
Cavalry.
and also find a way so that they can actually be factional as a satrapy, because in the game, like, there's 2 different types of client states, client state as it's called, and vassal, not vassal, satrapy. Basically, the satrapies are basically completely, basically they are the only, you can only do trade and then declare war together with your overlord, and that's it, basically what you can do with them.
One of our units has used all its
And obviously there was the first challenge for them to actually make that the campaign is actually functional for them, so that they're not completely inactive, so that you actually have some choices to do.
At the double.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Ready and waiting. Yours to command.
Well, I think so far not too bad
Hoplites,
in this fight. I think I've done a few mistakes here and there, but I wouldn't say it's the end of the world, really. The general's dead, which is a good thing.
Yours is alive, at least, so.
That's true. I think historically, my keeping the general alive has been questionable, to say the least.
Swift riders at your command.
At least most of the cavalry is alive as well, which is good. I don't do a really good job generally of keeping cav alive either.
Your orders. By your command.
Oh man, I haven't used like proper spearmen in so long, dude.
Hoplites, ready.
Now you're in Greece, now you'll have a lot of spearmen to work with.
Yeah, definitely. All right. I don't think that was a close victory. Wow, 600 men lost. Okay, that's kind of a lot. Vincenzo is saying, love this mod. So a nice little compliment for you.
Thank you.
Could subjugate the city.
If you want to do historical, you should annex it. Because the Aetolians annexed Delphi in 290 BC, if you want to be historical.
Okay, cool. All right, that's fair enough. Oh, minus 50 conquest. That's huge. Kind of feel like I need the money though. Yeah, let's loot it. I feel like the Aetolians would have looted the city.
The Phocians looted all its treasury, so
Ready for orders. We hunger.
All right, so they have been destroyed. got a couple of units that have like heavily suffered, so I mean they have a decent rank, but I think I might just merge them maybe. So these will repair eventually. What can we do with the money? That's the real question. Hmm. But yeah, just talking. I like that you're chatting in the chat as well.
Yeah.
It's polis and erkos in etymology. That's cool. I like that. I like that Nick is getting into the historical convo as well. That's cool.
Always nice.
Yeah, definitely. So what else? I guess like what else could you tell us a little bit in terms of the because you were mentioning this is set during the wars of the Diadochi. So tell us a little bit more about that, I guess, and what can you expect throughout the campaign in regards to that and other events.
Well, I mean, I can just tell you what happened historically.
Yeah.
Historically, Pyrrhus, Ptolemeus, and Lysimachus all allied against Demetrius and conquered him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started squabbling amongst themselves immediately after they finished off Demetrius, like in classic Diadochi style.
Yep.
No, this is not the Third Sacred War. This is 294 BC, Nick. If you mean that. And like in the game, like you basically, what will basically happen, Thessaly almost always gets wiped out because they get attacked by Epirus, the Aetolians, and also Demetrios partially, depending on what the AI would do. And obviously, if you're an enemy of Demetrios, all those vassals, it's going to be a pain in the ass for you because you have them raiding your ports at every time because they get called to war every single time because the AI almost never betrays in vanilla.
Mm-hmm. This is true. Very true.
And also sometimes Athens betrays Demetrios, but not always. And then it's like then you need to be prepared for the Gallic invasion so that you don't be completely exposed when they come and start destroying your northern borders if you are bordering the edge of the map.
And what around, I guess, without saying the year, when does the Gallic invasion begin?
It's around 50 something turns they will spawn.
Okay, wow. So you don't have very long, actually.
Because obviously this is like a mini campaign and they're not as draggy as the grand campaign that can last like 400 turns or something like that in extreme cases.
Right.
So I wanted them to show up at a reasonable date so that you can actually have to do something with them and also get the Therios units late in the game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this army north to the Thessalians and see what they got. I think if they don't have much of an army, I might try and take Pharsalos. But if they do, I might raise the raiding army and support. I need to kind of like manage public order around here first, though, I think. And I guess in terms of like the mod and the work that you've been doing on it, what can you tell us a little bit about the future, maybe what you have in store for future updates? What are you kind of looking forward to, I guess, this year for the mod?
As I perhaps said a bit earlier, if you were paying attention, the Dacians will make an appearance. This will happen if you play as Lysimachos.
Okay, right.
I mean, because Lysimachos did that, I think at around 293 to 291 BC, did a Dacian campaign, and he managed to get captured by the Dacians because he got ambushed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll try to also have that option available so that you can actually have Lysimachos be unavailable for a few turns, depending on your choice if he gets captured. What I also plan to do is add like a mechanic for when you control the city of Visadion, so that you can actually set the trade tariffs for the Black Sea trade.
Okay,
Because,
that's very cool.
Quite often the Byzantines there would put ridiculously high trade fares, and then all the foreign traders would go to Rhodes to intervene.
Mm-hmm.
So I also plan to have these trade things also coming in the spring update. I can't say when exactly it will come because I'm still very early in developing it, but I would say possibly around May it will come, but I can't promise anything.
Mm-hmm.
And also I think that I will also add like not in this update, but maybe in the next update, and the Seleucids appearing, because I think it was like in 282, 281 BC, Lysimachos was utterly destroyed by the Seleucids. And basically have them as a big late game invasion to destroy your game if you're not prepared.
Interesting. So that's kind of like the late game threat, I guess.
Yeah, these are the big things that you have in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And also I'm Ptolemaic escalation mechanics, so that the Ptolemaics will get really aggressive if you become too big, if you're at a certain Imperium level. But I'm currently developing it, and I need to see how I'm going to actually figure it out to work mechanically.
We would be forever in your
So
debt
you can for sure expectations and these trade things for the next update, and possibly the Ptolemaic in escalation, but
Athena
not
gives
the
wisdom,
Seleucids.
and Ares.
Interesting. When do you can you give us any indication about when you're going to be updating with those changes, or?
As I said, possibly around May.
Okay, right.
But it may come earlier, it may come later, depending on how much time I will have to work on it.
Yeah. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, looking forward to it. I mean, sorry, I've yet to use the mechanic to raise an army, mainly because I don't want to go bankrupt. But of course, I already am, knowing me. But I will use it hopefully soon. What can you tell us a little bit about the other mechanics that other factions have available to them? I guess because that's kind of like one of the most, for me anyway, one of the most enjoyable sides of this mod that you've created.
I can touch a bit more on the Athenian election mechanic that just came.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're sadly a bit limited by the engine of Rome, so we can't really have a faction leader being changing all the time with elections. I mean, it can change, but it's not exactly the same thing. Like it can change with one of the government actions that Rome has to appoint a dictator. This is the only time where you can change your faction leader, and it is mostly hard-coded stuff, sadly.
Right.
Athens has a similar mechanic to that, but it's not the same thing as electing a new archon with elections. And yeah, as I said, you have like 5 different outcomes depending on your choice with Athenian elections that can shake up party loyalty, public order, corruption, and so on. And as I said again, like the Epirotes historically had lower manpower, that's why they have lower recruitment compared to other factions, but instead they have more trained troops because Pyrrhus historically was a really good man at training his men. There's also one quote of his that's actually in the loading screens. You pick out the big men, I will make them brave. so it's also not to that.
Okay,
And
right.
also he also had like a good mercenary network, and obviously get some unique mercenaries for him as well.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very cool. I mean, for me personally, that's one of my favorite things about this mod. I mean, the sheer variety of the mechanics that you've created for a lot of these factions, their historical kind of context and authenticity. The way they make each faction play very differently as well is just very, very cool. I think I've played as Epirus before, and that recruitment kind of like the recruitment changes you've done for them are really, really interesting. And I played as Ptolemy as well, and obviously I've tried it as Demetrios, but it's very difficult. You're a massive, you've got so much territory, but the fact that you're at war at many fronts is very, very challenging. Maybe a good question for you would be, what is your favorite faction, or what do you think is some of the more challenging factions to play, or some of the more easier ones?
The most challenging faction to play is probably Pergamon,
Okay, right.
simply because you have all these events coming that you need to always have money in the bank for him,
Mhm.
and you're basically locked, and you have to grind with Bithynia. Bithynia is also a really hard faction because they are locked between. They have only one region, so the economy is pretty bad,
Right.
and you have like two enemies right surrounding you, Lysimachos and Pergamon, directly from the start. Also, Sparta can be challenging because of the incredibly slow recruitment.
Advance.
Yeah.
Ready for battle.
But like once you survive the Spartan early game, then it's actually pretty straightforward. Just a bit slow, but then it's straightforward if you survive the early game of Sparta.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite faction, that's a really good question. I don't really have any.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Do you play your mod a lot, or do you
I
just do it to basically develop it?
I painted. I have managed to paint the entire map as the Aetolian League. Actually, conquer every single region with it.
Oh, nice.
Took me about, I don't know, 410, something like that, but I did it.
Wow, 400 turns. How did you? What was the most challenging part of the campaign as the Aetolians?
Basically, for trying to invade Rhodes, because Rhodes has really powerful navies, and the Aetolians don't really have big ships, so trying to get a good naval invasion as Rhodes to two Rhodes is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I controlled like most of the maps, I was getting constantly all my fleets sunk by the Rhodians. So
Right.
this was fun, to say the least.
Yeah, sounds like it. Wow. Okay, so I've got another event message here, which is very cool. Apollo's exile has ended, and now on the spring equinox, it is time for the.
That should normally load. I don't know if you have other mods with it, but that thing should actually load the season.
Oh,
You mean
okay.
that? Okay, you mean the Panetolica? Okay, that I thought you meant as the seasonal events of Vanilla Wrath of Sparta. Okay, this is intentional. Yeah, stop.
Okay, cool,
My
cool,
bad.
cool. Nice, nice. I'm actually not running any other mods. I'm running graphical mods.
Yeah, okay, this should be fine.
And that's it. So it should be fine. Yeah, the soldiers are eager to do battle in the name of the Aetolian League. The military leadership is discussing the direction our military should follow this year. So I guess this is another one of those political decisions you have to make in terms of where the focus of the nation will be directed into from a military perspective, which is quite cool. So infantry focus, I'm guessing all of these are morale related and yeah, recruitment experience related. Ah, cool. I like that you have a kind of like an export mercenaries.
Yeah. This is also grounded on history because the Aetolians did not really hire mercenaries themselves, but they instead exported them to all kinds of other factions. And it wasn't actually that uncommon to have Aetolian mercenaries on both sides of a battle.
Interesting. And how much, what kind of an income does this give the Aetolians if they sell mercenaries?
I think you get like a flat 2,000 gold in payment, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so it's like a one-off payment. You export and you get the. Okay, cool. Interesting. Oh, that is interesting. -5 growth with all provinces, though. And the -2 recruitment slots mean you're left with 1 slot, I guess.
Yep. Unless if
Interesting.
you have like some technologies or later buildings that unlock you more.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But now, as now, you should be at 3, so you would be at 1 if you would select that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Interesting. I might actually go for this. Export the mercenaries. That's a decent amount of money. I'm not really going to do any recruitment at the moment, unless Demetrius decides to, Demetrius starts to attack us. We'll see what he gets up to there. The other thing is the weather is really not working for me at the moment. So spring brings minus replenishment, minus wealth from subsistence. Yeah, that's tough, man. We're gonna go back into Pharsalos, bring that into a positive public order, and then I might just recruit some really cheap units here. Of course, I just did the. It's very cool. A lot of these mechanics really do impact the way you have to play. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to have like choices to actually have a meaning and not just be okay. I made a mistake. Okay, no worries. I'm not going to get punished for it.
Yeah.
I also want some choices to actually be a little bit more punishing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
for sure.
if you mess up, that you're going to have like some consequences.
There's public order in other provinces. Positive, slightly negative, and that one's okay. Okay, this should be interesting. If we don't get enough of a positive public order here in Delphi, I might just maybe recruit some mercenaries and be really dumb. Okay, let's see what happens. What else can we talk about? Well, maybe what else? Like, tell us a little bit maybe about your modding experience. Have you modded before this mod, Demetrios, or are there any other mods you're working on, or?
I started modding, I think, in 2016. The reason was actually quite dumb. I wanted to remove some Celtic swords that like some Greek units had, so I just wanted to remove that, and this is how I got into modding.
Okay, right.
And I had done like a similar mod, what was focused on the 4th Macedonian the Achaean War, was the last stand of Greece. I think you had showed that briefly in a video, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not working on that anymore. But objectively, Demetrios is the better mod in terms of quality, because I think it's simple because the last stand of Greece was like my first mod of that type, and obviously I've had a lot more lessons that I could apply here to make this better. And outside of that, I'm also working a bit on Age of Bronze.
Okay, right.
And also like some other minor stuff that I had done. I think it was like one little mod for Rise of the Republic to change some shield patterns for the Etruscans, because they had Greek patterns instead of like some custom-made ones. And I think like some little unit packs here and there.
Okay, very cool. So you've been working on a lot of mods for a variety of games, I'm guessing, not just Rome 2. Or is it just Rome 2?
Only just Rome 2. I mean, I recently got Attila.
Okay,
so
nice.
I will see what I can do there.
What do you think about... Oh, you're planning on modding in Attila as well, is that right?
Maybe. I mean, I am discussing this helping out at the Dauntless Days. So we will see.
Nice.
We will see.
Okay, cool. Well, I wish you luck if you decide to get into that. I'm actually in in kind of like contact with Dauntless Days and the team, and been working on a video for them about the latest updates, and obviously this massive, huge news about the map modding tool that Victimized has been working on, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's groundbreaking to say the least, and I hope it will also work for Rome too, because it will allow so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Let them cower. Their path is blocked. Besieging the settlement.
I'm just kind of rolling right through the Thessalians, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the Thessalians, I mean, they make a lot of enemies from the start, and therefore they get wiped out pretty early.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I might do is take Farai here, take a step back, and liberate maybe Larissa. That's what I'm thinking anyway.
You can liberate here at Fair. You can liberate faction.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I think it might be more interesting to liberate Larissa. And
Larissa doesn't have anything that you can liberate.
okay, right, fair enough. So that was gonna be Farai. Oh damn, I already just occupied it. Okay, no worries.
Lose it to rebels, and then you get it's fine.
Yeah, I'll just leave it to rebels and then I'll come back. Exactly. Okay, cool. What else can I do here? Man, public order is on a knife's edge in this province. It's pretty amazing. And I've just had an earthquake in Zakynthos as well. You know, what can I do here? No, I don't think I can do anything. Yeah, I might actually just do that. Leave the city, let the Thessalians take it back even, and then liberate it. What's the liberating Emergent faction that comes out of it?
Simply with the town of Fere. It was a part of the Aetolian League in the 4th century BC. It was mostly ruled by tyrants. Around the mid 4th century BC, they had a civil war where Fere and the other tyrannical cities from the eastern part of Thessaly basically fought against the western side of Thessaly, and they lost.
Okay, right.
So it's basically that faction that's seceded from the Aetolian League in the mid 4th century BC.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, hopefully they turn around and take it back, and then guessing there's not much of a garrison. They can take it back, and then we can liberate it, get that Emergent faction. What other speaking of like Emergent factions are there in the mod that you can talk about?
There are actually quite a lot. Like in Macedon, you have the Orestians. They are at Argos Orestiko. Also here around the Aetolian regions, you have at Naftaktos, you have one of the two Locrian tribes. Also at Lamia, you have the Malians. Also, the Peloponnese actually has the most densely packed emerging factions, like the Achaean League, Argos, basically like big names.
Yeah, definitely.
Also what you can find in Izaman, you can find Militos. Another one of the good old classics.
Yeah.
Also, the Acarnanian League is also an emerging faction as well. The Chalkidian League in Chalkidiki, obviously. Also, I think Kythera, Elis, Madinia, Karpathos, Corfu, Milos, Andros.
Wow, that's a lot of Emergent factions. That's awesome.
I don't know if I'm missing any. Yeah, also Chios is also an emerging faction. Also the Pisatians are at Olympia. So yeah, there are a lot of factions that you can discover.
We hunger for battle.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Let them cower like kennel dogs.
All right, so besieging Farai again, and I will liberate it from the Thessalians. There we go. Oh my gosh. The mod crashed.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you said.
Honestly, the campaign of mine, I had liberated them and they worked fine. So I need to check that.
All right, no worries.
I hope there was an autosave. Yeah.
Where can I? Because you'll want the save, won't you? Where can I find a save?
I think it's in app users, app data, roaming, the creative assembly, and somewhere like that.
Users. Yeah, that's right.
Or you can just reload the autosave and not liberate.
Yeah,
That can
definitely.
also be done.
Yeah, let's try that then. Let's see. I guess I just have to. Yeah. I mean, well, is there any like sub mod, like graphics mods that could have interfered with that, or not
I
really?
highly doubt that. I mean, if it crashed at the settlement liberation, then it can only be that something is wrong with the map file.
Yeah, definitely.
Like graphics mods don't interfere, don't mess with these files, so it shouldn't be that.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I didn't think so anyway.
Yeah, but also like it's often quite stupid. Obviously, these kinds of turbulent emerging factions, this often cause crashes if you mod. So, but I can send you screenshots. I can send screenshots so that you can share how the faction looks. Because I have some.
Oh yeah, sure, definitely. Let me just load this up on the autosave. I really like the loading screens. They're very good.
They are unchanged from vanilla.
Oh no, I know. I'm talking about the quotes. Are the quotes changed or not?
The quotes, yeah, they all. I changed all the quotes so that they are focused on the three main guys.
Right.
Like over like 3-4 plus Phileteros also has that, some quotes about him and those one about roads.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll send you a screenshot if you want to see how Fere would look like on the map.
Yeah, let's have a look. Hold on. All right. Yeah, that's a very cool faction emblem, actually. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's based off of coins from Fere,
Oh, very
from that
cool.
region, and I didn't make that. Athanasios 95 GR made that, so props to him for that.
Okay, nice. Very cool. All right, so let's see here. I'm gonna end the turn and then I'll give it a quick save. I want to try and liberate it. I don't know. It could be just a one-time thing.
When men battle
Maybe, but
Kind of a-
I fear it could be something worse, but let's hope that it won't.
Yeah, exactly. Let's try it again. If it doesn't work, then I'll just I'll occupy it. Oh, interesting. This time the Thessalians brought over a second army. All right, let's save it. And then we're taking attrition because we've run out of food, which is excellent. Maybe if I attack this army first. I'm gonna fall back.
I'm afraid we cannot.
And we'll take the city back and give it away. Oh no, it crashed again.
I think that's. Did you only try to occupy it now?
No, I tried to liberate it again to see if it would work.
Yeah, then
Um,
I will double check that then real quick after the stream, and then I can give a hotfix.
yeah, no worries, all good. If you need like a crash report or anything from me, just let me know. I can send it through to you as well.
Yeah, if you can send me a save file, that would be nice, to so that I can be sure that it's actually global and not local.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right. No worries. I think what this is gonna do is affect my public order though, because I would have occupied it twice.
I'm not sure if those modifiers stack the moment you lose the settlement.
Yeah, it won't. I don't think it'll stack, but it'll reset, won't it? And
Yeah, I think it probably will reset. Yeah.
I'll get the conquest modifier again, which is not great, but that's okay. No worries. Let's go take the city. Yeah, let's just take out these armies in one go. And then occupy.
Ready for battle.
And then, you know what? I might just merge a couple of units. That will bring me to the positive a little bit more from an income perspective.
So you still have the taxes on low?
No, I increased them, but I took off the islands because public order was decreasing quite quickly here from damaged buildings. I just need to repair those really quickly and get that into the positive. Boeotia is back in the positive as well.
You need to get rid of the slums in Zakynthos.
Yeah, I've just done that, so it should be rebuilding hopefully again. It's gonna be -1, right? So we need to have that guy there. Minus 26. I think we're okay. If we can take Larissa, then we're kind of in a peaceful state, and I can focus a little bit on management and making sure things are a little bit more positive all around. If we can get that like income boost with the public order, then I can raise that raiding army and we can raid somewhere, which is kind of what I'm building up to a little bit.
The army will spawn at the capital.
Yeah, yeah, that's
you
right.
You can have it wherever you want.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So it'll spawn in Thermon then.
Yep.
Nice. Maybe we'll just go down and raid Demetrios.
Maybe.
Aldrag Maw is saying, hello, buddy. Hello, chat. Thanks for the mod promotion. AOM Total War and Where the Shadows Lie really captured my attention. Keep it up. Thanks, buddy.
Sure you will.
Glad you've enjoyed it. Welcome, everyone. Also, if you're just joining to the stream, we're checking out Gyrosmeister's own mod today, and he's on the voice chat as well, telling us a little bit about his mod and the vision that he had when creating it and the latest updates, the future of the mod as well. And it's very cool. I mean, we've been playing as Koinon Ton Aetolian or Aetolon, and trying to expand out a little bit, but it is super challenging, dude. Like there's a very fine balance between public order, food, oh, of course I'm running out of food. I totally forgot that. And income. It's quite difficult. I'm not gonna lie.
Also, like food consumption has mostly remained unchanged
Right.
from vanilla. I think I've only like modified some stuff slightly. Like for example, the new stable chains, they also eat food away.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you have some more buildings that consume food, and there are also like some new temples that give you food, like the Temple of Artemis chain that you have in Pharsalos.
Yep.
And obviously with planetary plagues and sanitation from Empire Divided, you can't just spam food buildings all over the place, otherwise you just be getting collages across the map.
At your command. Is that
And all the
Waiting for more.
almost all buildings that clear up Skolo consume food, so I included those mechanics from Empire Divided to make city planning a little bit more in depth and make you have to make a few more difficult decisions on what to get where. Because if you could just spam everything everywhere you want, like mostly in vanilla, because at some point in vanilla, your food production just steamrolls and you never have to worry about it again. So
Right.
I like those. So we can obviously those mechanics from Empire Divided remedy that to an extent. So, and it was nice to bring them here.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really cool thing about mods. Like CA obviously has released a bunch of, you know, that's how they do. They release a DLC. It adds a variety of new mechanics to factions or just generally and everything. But the fact that mods can move them over a little bit, like they've done, like you've done here, or for example, like the way you can move war wariness from the Age of Charlemagne DLC to the rest of the game as well. It's just a very cool way of just using that mod capabilities to move things around.
Yeah, but obviously what I found really curious was why didn't CA put Banditry Plagues in Rise of the Republic as well?
Commander.
I mean, they made so much effort with it in Empire Divided. It was well received, and for whatever reason they discontinued it. So
right,
this was definitely a weird one.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of weird things that I think weird decisions that CA has made over the years in development. Yeah, for sure. Like one of my own like pet peeves is I cannot stand for the life of me why they stopped making the little like cutscene videos from like Shogun 2 onwards. Like that was such a unique, really cool way of just, you know, visually showing you the results of a decision you've made.
Yeah, those were also really fun in medieval too, when your spy would get killed in a stupid manner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they discontinued that. So
Yeah. One of my favorites was when the spy gets into a cart and the cart moves up to the gate and the guard is like, oh, what's over here? And he can't see anything, but he just sticks his spear in anyway. It's amazing. It's one of the best cutscenes, definitely. Okay, cool. So it looks like public order is in a much better place and it's going up because obviously it's autumn. Nice, like cool month that people love, or season rather, not month. So that's getting things in the positive. I think I might just tax a few of these provinces again. 15. It's really good. I'm not quite there yet in terms of raising a raiding army, though. That's the only thing. Maybe I want more public order here because it's so far in the negative, actually. And here we've got the slums, right?
We hunger for battle.
Your generals might be the sons of Ares himself. We ask you today to send them against these wicked people.
I wonder who these guys are. Koinon ton Nesioton.
that's the Nesiotic League. They are a vassal of Demetrios.
Okay.
It was basically a confederation of most of the Cycladic islands, and it was basically passed on to all kinds of states. I think like after Demetrius, I think the Ptolemies got over it and they passed it off to Rhodes, and then the Rhodians found it too expensive to maintain and they dumped it as well.
Okay, right. Interesting. All right. So I'm just waiting on some replenishment to happen for a moment for public order to continue increasing in various regions. Kind of really just preparing for winter when all of this starts going to hell again, basically.
Yeah, but at least now you have some money in the bank, so
Yeah, exactly. So, let's just demolish these slums, and then I'm thinking B, I might just raise this raiding army. Probably gonna eat into the income, but oh, of course, we need a bit more coins to do that. 1280 is what I need, so we can do it in the next turn. And raid Demetrios.
We would be forever in your debt if you ordered your worthy generals to act against these monsters.
So obviously, I'm sure you get, or your mod gets compared to Hellenica a lot, or does it? I guess. And if it does, what do you think about that? What do you, how do you feel about Hellenica and what your, I guess the differences between your work here and theirs?
I know that some people like ask around what is better, this one or Hellenica or Hellenica to say it properly.
Okay, Hellenica.
Honestly, I don't like comparing them because we are trying to, like my mod and the other and Hellenica do completely different things from one another. Like the Hellenica is basically the Peloponnesian War of the vanilla Wrath of Sparta setting in a completely hardcore mode. Like it's not like vanilla plus like Demetrios is.
Right.
It's like more for hardcore players. And my mod is also changed the setting completely, and it's more intended to be like have more vanilla feeling. So, and because the mods have different approaches, I don't like to compare them. And it's obviously what you want. If you want like a more hardcore mod, then you can play Hellenica. It's probably better than Demetrios if you're really into hardcore stuff. But if you want like a more vanilla type feeling, then you're right at home here.
Okay, fair enough. So you would say that yeah, Hellenica does a bit more from a, it changes a lot of things drastically compared to your mod here, which is a lot more sticking to vanilla in style, and I guess it's a lot more about making things mechanically more interesting and historical to the time period that you've chosen.
I mean, Hellenica also has like, is also very historical as well, but I think the thing that I remember when I last played, I think they had like a completely changed up recruitment system with you had like some units that you could only recruit like a handful of times, and after that they were gone for good, and also they had population systems and manpower pools for all the various tiers of hoplites that the Greek polis had at the time. And obviously my mod doesn't have a population system or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, because I think Hellenica has it's like a limited population system, so
yeah,
it's not that the population grows. You actually have a limited pool of people to draw.
And if you lose some units in that mod, and they are gone for good.
Yeah, exactly.
And which also makes sense because the campaign is like it's at 12 times per year, and like you're not going to have like big population replenishments in short periods of time from historical POV.
Definitely.
So that definitely makes sense from a historical point of view, in my opinion.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
It's obviously up to the player to decide if he wants to have something like that or not.
Ready for battle.
Yeah, definitely. So I've just tried to do a raiding force. I organized a raid, and I'm finding that it's amazingly difficult to keep up the upkeep, and I don't think it's the right time to do it. Basically, I mean, I'm at
Yeah, I
minus.
mean, yeah, in Greece, summer was a time for war, not winter. So
Yeah, definitely true.
at
How
least in the
often?
classic, at least in the classical era, the Greeks had like unofficial truces during winter times.
Okay, that's cool to know. Interesting.
And historically, that happened generally rarely that people were fighting in the winter.
Right. Remind me, how many turns per year is the mod?
Is a 12 turns per year, unchanged from Vanilla Wrath of Sparta.
Okay, right. Oh man, yeah, I forgot about the slums there. And the Thessalians are sending a very nice looking army my way as well. So this might just be the end of me, to be honest.
You may have to wait till Pyrrhus can free up forces from his fight at Macedon, and then maybe he can come and help you.
Yeah, that would be nice. I can arrange a war target, so maybe he can just come now, please. Yeah, things are looking a little bit on the tough side at the moment. At least income is in the positive right now. I thought people weren't supposed to war against each other during winter, man. Aristandros.
Yeah, the AI doesn't care about that.
Fair enough.
Be welcome, and may Hermes bless your words with appropriate speed. For I have other business today.
Could make peace with them.
I mean, they asked you for peace like a few turns ago, but you declined. So,
Yeah, I did decline.
or like
Yeah.
you can try and ask them now. Maybe they will accept.
Yeah, they accepted. Okay, cool.
Gods of
I think that's like the right thing to do at this time, because if I let them do that, they're just gonna go all over me right now.
Consolidate your gains and then attack them in the summer.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I like how the army's just gonna stick around. Like,
Yeah,
we've
at least
diplomatically.
in Shogun 2, yeah, at least
Yeah,
in
we've-
Shogun 2, where the armies would get moved back after you signed the peace treaty.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
Rome 2, that
exactly.
is in the feature, sadly.
Yeah, it's it's an amazing thing. Somebody was asking me a really good question. So Radical was asking me, what state do you think Total War is in right now? Personally, I'm bored of playing the same games. We all need a new historical title to be announced. I guess not so much a question. Oh, well, I mean, I can answer myself. What do I think the current state of Total War is in right now? And if you want, we could love to hear what you think about the current state of Total War as well. But yeah, personally, I think CA have done a lot of work on the Warhammers. They promised it would be just 3 games. I don't think they're really going to do another Warhammer game. They recently mentioned that there are going to be 2 unannounced projects that they're working on that they're going to announce this year. And I'm guessing one of them, at least, is a Total War game that's new. And I'm guessing anyway it's historical. I mean, I expected an announcement like that to be made at the end of last year, at least. But I think Warhammer 3's launch made things a bit complicated and pushed a lot of things back, resource-wise, upper management, kind of reevaluating things and looking into the future about how they could best launch some of the work that they have been doing for the last few years, I think, historically. So I think that's what the current state is at. I'm in the same boat in terms of, there's a lot of not boredom, but there's definitely a level of you can reach your limit in terms of how much you can play the same thing. And mods do a lot, obviously, to make things interesting, but there's only so many mods. But yeah, I think there's some very exciting things coming for Total War very soon. What do you think? Gyrosmeister.
I thought you were asking about theoretical, but
Yeah, no, I
but
was asking.
I can say, I mean, I don't think that another Warhammer game will come. I mean, I think it's just too much saturation if they just make Warhammer 4 as a surprise announcement. That would be like too much saturation with Warhammer games. And I think the license was only for 3 games, and they did 3 games now, so that's it. Like personally, I don't think like Total War is a good state given how the track record of the recent releases, like Swords of Britannia, was
terrible thing to
bad.
spread war across the world,
To put it lightly. 3K. I mean, we know how that went, and when they simply dumped it for whatever reason because they want to make a Three Kingdoms 2 game for reasons. And I think that will have like the same problem with Warhammer games. That will just be like too much saturation of too much of the same setting with minor differences at best.
Yeah.
So I hope that the next game is not going to be a Three Kingdoms game. I hope, but I believe that it will be a 3K game.
You really think so? You think it's going to be 3K too?
This is what because they had announced, I think, three Kingdom games as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So I believe that this is what will come. But I don't forget say I don't know anything, so don't take my word for that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think then we need to take a look at some of the older games and see what they did right and like why. I mean, there is a reason why so many people still play Medieval 2 and not because of Third Age or Divide and Conquer. I mean, it has like much more campaign depth than like the newer games, and then you need to port some features of Medieval 2 that were cut back into the newer games, in my opinion, to have another successful game.
Be welcome.
Yeah, definitely.
The Warhammers were very successful for CA, but I don't think that's right because Three Kingdoms obviously try to, with its romance mode, they try to bring those fantasy fans that they want into the historical series because single entity heroes and stuff. And that pissed off many hardcore historical fans. So I think they need to separate fantasy from history altogether and not do another half history like 3K if they want to be back on the right track, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I was covering a mod for Troy the other day. It's I don't know if you saw it. It was like it's essentially the vision is to create an Age of Mythology type Total War where it converts it into a massive pantheon of gods with each of them linked to a few different types of mythical, creatures and monsters, and the various factions around the map are a little bit more reminiscent of Age of Mythology with lots of interesting heroes and characters, and there's a lot of really, really good stuff there. But for me, the core problem of Troy in and of itself is that it's trying to do its best to merge those two genres of Total War, history and fantasy, in a way that I think partially works. There's a lot that I really like about it, but I think there's a lot of it that is influenced by Warhammer directly and the way that CA made and have been making the Warhammers, and it just doesn't work for it, really. So yeah, I agree. I think 3K is a good example of how it did work a bit better, but I hope that they, like you, they move away from that kind of formula in the future, in the next game at least. Oh, right. I've already got a farm there. But going back to what you said, just interestingly, I do find it very interesting that Medieval 2 still has a massive cult following. It's a great game. I've been playing it on mobile and actually specifically my iPad as well, and it's really, really cool vanilla. But I have to say I think it's interesting that it's still got such a big player base for how old it is, really. Have you played the Total Wars at all on mobile?
There is little
no,
honor in
not at all.
sitting as a...
I don't play any games on mobile at all.
Yeah, no, of course.
And I don't have a device that could support the Total War games on mobile in the first place. So
Right. So you mean to say you've never played Raid Shadow Legends?
no, never.
No. Yeah, I'm joking. That's good. I mean, I'm in the same boat. I don't think mobile games are, despite the amazing stat of mobile games being the most lucrative industry in the world from a gaming perspective. Not all, the majority of gaming revenue worldwide comes from mobile gaming, which is just an insane thing. Despite that, you just go into an app store and it's just full of crappy, totally
Yeah.
terrible, mediocre, money grabbing, not even games. They're just kind of like low level coded like sims of something terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy how these microtransactions from mobile games make so much money. But sadly, we see them move more and more into PC gaming.
Yeah.
Like I think everyone remembers the Star Wars Battlefront 2 saga with the loot boxes and the microtransactions in it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it's lucrative for the companies that make those games, but obviously it's not good for the health of game development in the long run. If that's the way to make a game, just monetize it aggressively and make it unplayable without microtransactions.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Our enemies tremble
At
at
least
the
Total
thought
War
of your
wasn't
might.
was like that bad at it, though some DLC for Total War games have been questionable, to say the least.
Yeah, true. Definitely. I agree with that.
Like we here, Rome 2, Athens and Sparta were not playable at launch without the DLC.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Rome 2 is a pretty special case though. I mean, I would say they really screwed up.
I mean, it needed 1 more year of development. That's, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the plan was to have it shipped as it was shipped with Emperor Edition in 2014. I'm pretty sure that was the plan, to have it released like that, but they got pushed to meet the deadline, and yeah, they sold us an unfinished game, sadly.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And that would have meant a much better DLC for the game, because they wouldn't have to dedicate so many resources to actually make the game playable.
Yeah, for sure. I do wonder sometimes, like, how does a company like CA work? I mean, like, really work? Like, how much of an impact does upper management have in the, the rolling out of a game, regardless of its state, right? Or when it gets rolled out, rather. And I'd love to, like, really get to the the inner workings of development to understand how they prioritize certain aspects of a game before launch, bug fixing, etc. Knowing that they're never going to be able to launch a fully finished game realistically.
I mean, obviously, these are company secrets, so I don't know either.
Yeah.
And generally, I mean, the CA is owned by Sega, and generally, obviously, Sega wants to release a certain amount of games every certain time frame.
Yeah.
And they just can't wait 5 years to make a masterpiece, because that would be very unprofitable for them if they had to wait 5 years for a single game.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely.
And obviously, Total War, I think in the early days, I think there was one release every 2 years, and now they've made it into annual. Which I think they should break the yearly cycle. I think 1 game every 2 years and good support, a couple of years with DLC is actually good enough. I mean, and it will also give better games that could actually last longer.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, even the game you're playing right now, Rome 2, it's nearing 10 years of age, and people still play it.
Yeah, it's true.
How many people still play, I don't know, Rose of Britannia or Troy?
It's true. It's true. Definitely. I remember, I think over a year ago, I don't know what the numbers look like right now, but I was comparing numbers of players on the historical games, overall, and comparing that to the Warhammer games, and seeing how that's changed over time. Obviously, historical games have and their player bases have gotten lower and lower, but it's actually like really cool to see how many players there are still across all of the historicals playing them. I mean, at a certain point, I think it was like just pre the launch of Warhammer 3, there was a figure. It was like, because there weren't that many people playing Warhammer 2 in anticipation of the new game, it was something like 25,000 people still playing all of the historical games versus 35 for Warhammer 2. And I was just like, that's an insane figure. Like, when you think about the last historical came out in 2016 or 2015 with Attila. Oh no, sorry. With TOB a little bit after that. Proper historical.
If we discount Three Kingdoms.
Yeah, if you discount Three Kingdoms, which I mean, it's in essence a historical game, but it's definitely got massive fantasy
It was
influences.
also commercially successful, especially in China. It was very successful commercially.
Yeah.
But I think the main audience of CA before that was like mostly Europe and North America, and obviously they wanted to expand into the Asian market with Three Kingdoms.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was looking at this figure and thinking, wow, that's a lot more than people expect. Like, people really do think out there that historical is dead, and CA couldn't care less, and when you put that figure in your head and in front of these people, you have to like recognize that as a business, you can't just ignore an audience like that. That's not how business works. If you've got a large audience and they're loyal to the games that you've made years ago, that's such a special type of loyalty that you can just keep selling to. So I really can't imagine that CA would ever not make a historical game again. I think it's ridiculous to think that they wouldn't. So I've managed to get a decent amount of income finally. So it's kind of like playing the waiting game a little bit here to get into those summer months, see public order rising across all your provinces, see the income get into the thousands for the first time, and just start, I guess, building up. Because you're in a peace time, you can just use this time to build up your provinces a bit and get that economy.
Higher public order gives you better taxes. So.
Yeah, exactly. So raising that public order to get better taxes. So in an indifferent province, you don't get any bonuses, but I'm guessing the more positive that is, the more of an increase you get to tax.
Yeah, there's this icon on the bottom left which says province effects, and then it shows you the modifiers on the provinces.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the neutral public order, I think it's like up to like -20 to +20. It's like the indifferent, and
yeah,
no bonuses or penalties.
Yeah, exactly. I just decrease the tax level slightly. And think about where I want to spend all of this money. There's a public order, wealth, tax rate, banditry. What is the tax level? Okay, it's not very good here, so I won't focus on that. Maybe we'll do this area.
The bravery of men, not words.
Oh boy, here we go. So Demetrios has declared war on me, which is fun. Here we go.
Did also expect invasions from
it is a terrible thing to
Evia
spread war across the world,
soon enough.
but I
If
beg
the
you,
vassals join him,
attack
then
these
they
wretches.
declare war on you.
So it looks like none of them joined him.
Yeah, because they are clients, it's not satrapy, so they count as defensive allies mechanically.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
Obviously you will get like very negative public order with them soon enough.
Okay, cool. Right.
Bound by treaty, our lands would be as trireme and sail, indivisible.
Okay, yeah, I'm done with that. Igor is just saying, hi, I really like your videos. Do you know when the Sardom's Total War will be available on the on the Steam Workshop. So just to, sorry, I'm really sorry about this. Crush your dreams for a second, but Medieval 2 mods will never come to the Steam Workshop, guys. There will never be Steam support for it, unfortunately, for games of that age. But they're all available on ModDB, or at least a lot of them are available, ModDB, Nexus mods, etc. So you can find them all online as well. And the Majaya Fayum is here. Hey, buddy, welcome to the stream. He's also saying, off topic, but I've just been playing Witcher 3 and I regret never finishing that game. It's so good. Oh, dude, Witcher 3. What a game.
Masterpiece.
It is, really. It's such a... Have you tried the next-gen upgrade yet at all, or...
No, not yet.
No, I haven't yet either. And he's saying, so the decline in Total War quality could be due to yearly releases. Is it franchise fatigue? That's a good way of looking at it.
Probably a bit of both. I mean, there's too much Total War around currently. Like, if you imagine someone who joined with Warhammer 1 in 2016, how many games were released in the time period?
Yeah.
2 Warhammers, 2 Sagas, 1 Rome Remastered, 3 Kingdoms. A lot.
Yeah, definitely. Oh no, I think I've got a few armies just south of Naupactos.
All I ask is a treaty. I am not
On the
proposing
Peloponnese.
marriage now, am I?
Yeah.
There will
Yep.
be no
It looks
harridan
like it.
mothers-in-law. Give careful thought to this offer. My people expect acceptance.
So let's see here. We've got some lower upkeep, which is nice. We'll keep that up. We've got 2 armies just south of us in Naupactos.
At your command.
So this is slightly worrying. Only slightly, though. At least public order is looking really nice. So out of all the Total Wars then, have you played all of them, or?
I've played Rome 1, Alexander, Medieval 2, and Kingdoms. I've played Rome 2, obviously, a lot. I've played, like, I have Shogun when it was, I got it when it was like free to keep, and I'm waiting for the Last Alliance mod to get finished to finally play it.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
And I got myself Attila a few days ago.
Nice, nice. Have you tried Attila yet, or?
I've played a bit MK1212 as Nicaea.
Okay, very cool. Yep. What do you think of MK1212?
Really, it's a really well done mod. Unlike all these faction mechanics, all these scripts that you can do in Attila that are not possible in Rome 2, sadly.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a fantastic mod. That's all I have to say about MK1212.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a campaign going on at the moment in MK1212 with the Kingdom of Aragon, the Crown of Aragon in Spain. And it's such a crazy campaign at the start because you've got this, you know, coalition of Spanish kingdoms in the north, and you've got the Almohads and the Emirate of Cordoba and like a variety of Muslim factions in the south, and you have to do the Reconquista of Spain, and it's just such a tug of war between trying to do that and maintain relations with the Spaniards. It's a ridiculously interesting campaign. Highly recommend it.
Good to know.
So, I'm kind of nearing the last 10 minutes of the stream. I've got dinner on my mind, my stomach rumbling. Let's kind of like talk a little bit more about your mod. What have we not covered? I know we've talked a lot about it in terms of what were you trying to achieve when you created it? Your latest updates in the future. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, or yeah? What do you think?
In the the sense of more in the sense of future plans or mechanics that are already in the mod itself.
Yeah, I guess anything really.
I mean, I don't know if you spot them, but there are also pirates spawning in the edge of the sea, like Illyrians in the Ionian Sea, and Cilicians down in the Mediterranean. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, definitely. I
they will
think
be messing up your ports and trade routes if you don't have any fleets to take care of them.
Okay, cool. Yep, definitely.
So this is something to keep an eye out of, especially if you play as either Epirus, Rhodes, or the Ptolemies.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's also one mechanic for certain provinces that border the edge of the map. They get foreign cultures, they get pressure from foreign cultures. For example, the province of Epirus has like Illyrian influences, the province of Macedon, Paeonian, and so on. This basically was I created that because obviously all factions, almost all factions are
We
Hellenic,
are civilized folk.
and that would make culture a completely useless feature and basically dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I added that so that actually temples, dignitaries, and all these religious conversion things are relevant
Mm-hmm.
as much as possible. But obviously, in a province in the center of Greece where there is not really any pressure, you can't have that much. But there are cults that can spread foreign religions. Like I think there's like Phrygian and Thracian cults that can get spread if you or the AI decide to build them.
I want hourly patrols.
So
Okay, right.
This was actually one important thing that I had in mind, how to not make culture that feature in a Greek campaign.
Right.
Because CA did this Hellenic tribalism thing with Wrath of Sparta, but they didn't enable culture conversion, so it's just a static feature, static value, and you get public order and diplomacy bonuses with everyone. So I don't know what the plan was for that exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted culture to actually play a role as well in this mod.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I give you welcome. Let
And obviously,
Zeus.
there's also the Celts that can spread Celtic
I am
culture if
sorry.
they manage to settle and
I
don't get
gain only
destroyed.
the score.
And the Dacians that will come in the next update. They will also be able to settle, so they will also be theoretically able to spread their culture if you allow them to stay and not able to kick them out if they spawn.
Okay, right. Fair enough.
Because it will depend on your decisions if the Dacians will spawn or not in the next update with Lysimachos.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, that all sounds really good. I mean, I found that with I would say like every of every update you've made to like the factions that you focused on, and I've come back and tried them out, has been really cool. I mean, again, to try and praise your work a little bit here, like there are obviously tons of mods out there and overhaul mods that do a really good job of making certain factions like really replayable and different and unique, but I've like never really seen the kind of interesting the work you did to the government changes and how every faction has a different kind of set of options to do in their kind of like arsenal, whether it's just it adds a really nice layer of not just, you know, doing something unique with a faction, but also interconnecting various other mechanics through it, basically, which is a really nice touch.
This was also one of the many complaints that Wrath of Sparta had, especially to semi, not also for the battles, because it's only hoplite grindfest that are not even skinned differently. And also, like if you play basically as Athens, or if you play as Corinth outside of the starting positions, so basically how many islands and colonies you have, not much is different. You basically do the same thing. Just basically have to do basically the same thing with all factions. So this was like one of the things that I'd like to change. So if you play as Demetrios, for example, to have to feel completely different when, for example, you play as Athens or Rhodes or anything.
Yeah, definitely. And that's really cool. I mean, I would say in most of the historical games, there's a very distinct lack of replayability. I mean, obviously some games are better than others, and even without that kind of replayability, some games are just really good in and of themselves. Like Shogun 2 is a prime example of everyone who, like, loving a great historical game despite there not being as much variety across the various different factions that you can play. So it's always like a really nice thing in my mind. Like the fact that you're playing a Total War, you know, in which a lot of your time is spent on the campaign. Battles aside, like you do a lot on the campaign map, managing all of these different stats and metrics and you know, economic factors and social factors, whether it's culture, religion, or just general public order. It's really cool that you've done all of this to make the various factions basically more replayable. So kudos to you, man. Keep it up. I really like it.
Thanks.
Definitely. So I guess with that we can kind of wind down the stream a little bit and end the conversation around Demetrios
Maybe you
here.
guys saw the screenshot for the faction that crashed the game.
Sorry, say that again.
Maybe you could say show the screenshot for the faction that crashed the game.
I really want to, but I'm actually sharing. I'm streaming through the game, so I can't. I can't. Yeah, I know. I should have done a display stream because then I could have showed other stuff. So that's my bad. But I will. If I do an update video around Demetrios, then I can definitely share that kind of like those screenshots of emerging factions like that. Then that would be definitely something I would do for sure. But yeah, so I guess that's going to be the end of our stream here. So thank you for joining me, and it's obviously been a pleasure and an honor to have you here to talk about your mod and what you've done here. And yeah, looking forward to your future updates and what you're going to be doing to add even more variety to these factions and making it interesting and challenging for us.
Hopefully in May. We'll see.
Nice. Sounds good. All right. Cool. All right. So everyone else on the stream, thank you all for being here. Obviously, I hope you enjoyed what you saw. If you did, there's a link to both the mod and I think there's a link to the mod. There should be. And the Discord server, if you want to drop in and say hello there. And yeah, thank you for being here. Like the stream if you enjoyed it, found it informative. Subscribe to the channel for more just like this. And yeah, I guess if you go into the stream and do try it out for yourselves, make sure to give the mod a rating, a positive rating, because you guys get a lot, I think, from mods being rated and being given like a thumbs up kind of thing as well. So definitely make sure to do that. All right, so thank you everyone, and I will see you tomorrow for a new video. And thank you, Gyrosmeister, for being here.
Thanks again for having me.